Rachel, I want to talk a little domestic politics with you as well, because you're writing about Joni Ernst and some concerns among her Senate colleagues that she may step away and retire, joining Thom Tillis of North Carolina, of course, Mitch McConnell as well, opening up a seat there in the state of Iowa. What is going in, do you think, to her decision here to stay or to go?
Yeah, look, I mean, she has sort of gone through some of the motions, suggesting that she could run again. She just hired a campaign manager. She's raised about $1 million for her potential reelection effort, which is not super impressive, but it's also not nothing. But behind the scenes, I'm hearing from Senate Republicans that they just don't see the fight in her anymore. And she has told people recently that she hasn't even decided whether she wants to run again. And the reason for that, well, there's a few, actually. Number one is that she previously was in leadership. Tom Cotton, who is actually a close friend of hers, ran against her and totally ousted her from that position. I'm told that she actually felt rather betrayed, and that was a huge sore point for her for a while. And then remember back in January, she totally got dragged by MAGA influencers online when she was sort of holding out her support for Pete Hegseth. Obviously had a lot of concerns about him. Ultimately, she voted for him, but that was after this really ugly campaign where she was basically made an example of by the White House and White House allies. They even suggested that she wanted the job herself, which I was told at the time was totally false, a smear campaign against her. And that has sort of stuck with her. I mean, even her Senate Republican colleagues saw that and were like, wow, okay, we don't want that to happen to us. We're going to get in line. And so between both of those things, you know, it hasn't been exactly a great year for her. She had this quote just a few months ago where she, you know, in that town hall, you guys talked about it on your show, where she said, you know, everybody's going to die, when a constituent suggested that these Medicaid cuts they just passed would actually kill people. And that was obviously very tone deaf, politically insensitive. But, you know, it's interesting. She would still win this race. Republicans think she would easily win this race. This is not exactly a state that Democrats have high hopes of picking up, although that could change if Trump's poll numbers, you know, tank and Republicans really face a huge backlash for this bill. But in theory, she would easily be reelected. It's just Republicans say her heart might not actually be in it.
Well, you know, Rachel, it's so interesting. As you write in your piece, she was always seen as an up-and-comer, somebody, you know, future of the Republican Party from the time she got elected in 2014. But, boy, it has been a very rough year. And I think a lot of members of Congress find out that actually sometimes it's easier to be in Congress when the president in the other party is sitting in the White House, and when the president in your own party is sitting in the White House. But yeah, there was "we're all going to die" comment. There was that bizarre attempt at humor in a graveyard soon after that. But I want you to go back to the Hegseth nomination. Yeah. She obviously, for many reasons that you cite in your piece, she obviously had a lot of reasons to be deeply concerned about Pete Hegseth.
And to be a no.
And to be a no.
Straight up.
We heard an awful lot, I'm sure you heard an awful lot, about the level of abuse that she took, not just from people directly related to the White House, but also from MAGA supporters. And threats, just sort of things that she found at the time to be overwhelming. Talk about that and how that may actually, at the end of the day, be driving this more than anything else, where, and I've seen other members say this before, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it for my family. It's not worth it for me.
Yeah, my understanding is those threats on her reached the level of death threats at the time, and it wasn't just her. I was told by people close to her that it was members of her family. I mean, she, you know, she has a daughter who is serving in the armed forces, and, you know, she also has staff she loves, and I know her staff, they were also being harassed. Now, whether or not that was why she made her decision ultimately, I cannot speak to that. Obviously, she has said that she did the research and looked into these women who had these allegations against Hegseth and ultimately decided that there was no proof and she supported him. But you're right. I mean, there was a lot of reason to think that she wouldn't ultimately be there. And I certainly didn't think she was going to vote for him for confirmation. Part of that is because she has this sort of long history of supporting, you know, women in the military who said they have been, you know, sexually harassed, sexually abused. You know, she has legislation with Kirsten Gillibrand. Like, I did an event with them one time. It's something she's very passionate about. She's a survivor of sexual abuse herself. She served in the military as well. And so, yeah, I was obviously very skeptical that she would ever get there. But ultimately, if you remember back, it was actually Tom Tillis who was the one who came this close to voting against Hegseth and did his own investigation, spoke to a lot of people involved. I never heard about any of that with Joni Ernst and whether she actually did that. And in fact, there was reporting indicating that reporters had actually, I'm sorry, not reporters, some of the victims, survivors, I should say, or people who had alleged abuse against Hegseth had actually reached out through intermediaries to her, and she never just took the conversations. So here we are.
Wow. Politico's Rachel Bain, thank you so much for coming on this morning with your reporting. Please come back. Great to have you.